Broncos country, let's ride.
Breaking news.
Michael Bruntz.
This is the second time that breaking news has happened right when I come on the show. That's a good life lesson to be learned in all this. If you're going to give somebody over $100 million, make sure they're not weird.
Michael Bruntz, Husker 24/7.
We're now joined on the 42 Degrees Source Hotline by Michael Bruntz of Husker 247. Hello, Michael.
Hello.
Have you recovered from getting all that cheese and fireball shooters thrown at you on Saturday?
Yeah, the only thing that I was very fortunate that the nacho cheese didn't get me, because the splatter pattern on that, it was like a Paul painting, and unfortunately a member of the Ohio State dance team got it the worst. So,
really? There was a direct cheese hit?
I don't know if it got on her, but it hit her. Like, and I don't know where the cheese originated from, but like, it felt like the throw was from, like, the guy was throwing it from, I'm assuming it was a guy. I probably shouldn't.
That's definitely fair.
But I would guess that that throw had to have come from like Cleveland. That's how far it was. So,
it's got a pretty high exit velocity.
Yeah, it had some arch on it. But yeah, that was the worst. I just avoided the cheese. Got out of the way.
How do you throw cheese? You know,
well, it was in a tub. It was like in the little, like, to-go dish. It had a lid on it.
Okay, and then it explodes on impact.
And then just like a grenade, it went everywhere.
Pretty unbelievable. That seems easier to throw, honestly, than the empty fireball shooters, which seem to be raining down as well.
Yeah, no, there was like a couple half-empty water bottles. I saw because they were selling tall boys, and there was one that looked like it was about 3/4 full that was just kind of like doing the end-over-end thing, just spraying beer everywhere. So it was bad. I mean, I stood in the tunnel and watched the officials leave the field, and it was tense.
So you've heard murmurs at Memorial Stadium. We are not. This is not new to us, right? That when the fans start to get angry about something and it goes from murmurs into something completely different. We've felt that before. What did that feel like on Saturday as Ohio State fans just gradually throughout the game continued to get more and more angry at their own team?
Familiar. It felt familiar. It felt like you were at somebody's house, but everything kind of felt like your home. Like, you know how? You're correct in your question that there's stages to everything. There's kind of there's the grumbling.
The murmurs.
I think right before halftime, there was like some spotty boos, a few booing. And then
on one of them, it became all out boos. I think it was a fourth down stop that Nebraska made.
Yeah. Well, and then third quarter, you kind of go into pucker mode where you can just feel the tension in the stadium. And then fourth quarter, it was like a quick pass or a short pass that just got completely stopped. And that's when the boos started. And then the nacho cheese started raining when the officials got involved. But all of that felt very familiar. Like that was like basically the last decade of Nebraska football, but somebody else experiencing it.
There really is a scale. I don't know that Nebraska fans have gotten to nacho cheese on the field level of angry yet. Maybe we still haven't hit rock bottom.
Yeah, I don't think so. That whole sequence was weird, and it was, you had Ryan Day spiking the headset, getting a sideline warning for that, which it
questionable,
was complete chaos. And then, I mean, it's too bad because, you got to that point, Nebraska's trying to put together like a potential game-winning drive, and it's just like it's a riot. It was like a mild riot is what it was.
It's a memorable trip to Columbus for Michael Bruntz and the traveling Nebraska media, which was nearly pelted by cups of cheese on Saturday, but everybody escaped unharmed. Did you enjoy the end of baseball season last night, especially the fifth inning?
It was They could have used the Tom Amansky video. I think that would have helped.
That's what I said today. I said the real winners today were every youth baseball coach in America who could now teach PFPs.
Yeah, you're going to be paying a little bit of attention to that in February, I think, kids.
Yeah.
No, it was fine. It was an entertaining World Series, which I appreciated, but I appreciated and kind of chuckled at all the things that the Dodgers had to overcome.
Oh my God!
As a franchise to get that one over the finish line.
Yeah,
good for them.
Yeah, they were really taking exception after the game to the fact that people were yelling at them because they've been good this entire time, but they only won that 2020 World Series, and people were getting on them for that, and they were like, "Well, now what can they say?" It was like, yeah, everybody knew you were pretty good the whole time.
It was very strong Kirby Smart vibes.
Yeah, they definitely played the underdog role for whatever reason against a team that they were pretty clearly much better than and more complete than even in the World Series. But anyway, all right, from Matt Rhule today. So injury notes. Let's go there first. With Malcolm Hartzog out, you go to we'll get an introduction or a closer look, I suppose, at Jeremiah Charles this weekend. Young defensive backs moving their way into the rotation here. That's a story that I'm kind of watching in the back quarter of this season.
Yeah, and I feel like at the start of the season, a lot of the conversation around the secondary was just the depth and who was going to fit in where, and I think that they at least have the ability to kind of absorb the injury of Hartzog, and Tommy Hill is highly questionable for this game. I think it's safe to say. But
still haven't seen Bly Hill yet.
Haven't seen Bly Hill yet. I mean, that's the addition of Sierra Wright in July. That's been one of the huge storylines of this entire season to me. With them just kind of being able to chug along, even though they've had lost their best defensive player in Tommy Hill. So we'll see what Jeremiah Charles can do. He's played a fair amount this year in tight spots. He played most of the quarter and a half towards the end of the Ohio State game. So they feel like he can do it. And the thing that they have the ability to do back there too is they can mix and match a little bit. I mean, Hartzog was playing some safety, he was playing some corner, and they can move guys around if they have to. So I think they'll be okay. But I think at least one benefit of Tommy Hill being hurt and kind of having the question marks around him is they've had to lean on some of the younger guys and some of the depth more so than they probably would have if he were just healthy.
Yeah. That's the way it seems. And I wonder how many more names do you think get into the mix in that defensive backfield as the season winds down?
I don't know. Well, one notable depth chart change from this week was Mario Buford, the true freshman, is now on the 2 deep at safety. He replaced Derek Branch, who had been there for most of the season. He's kind of been, he burned his red shirt and has kind of been there all season, but I don't know, how much fans were aware of that. And, they traveled Braylon Prude, they traveled Caleb Benny, and they traveled Donovan Jones to Ohio State. I wouldn't be shocked to see Jones on special teams. Maybe one of those other two guys pops up there late in the year. But, with the way that Matt Rhule kind of builds his roster, that's the benefit when you get to this time of year is you have a few of those young guys that can step in and maybe give you a snap or two on special teams. And I don't think a lot of teams kind of operate that way. So that's the benefit of building depth, and it's good experience for those young guys to get in there and go through the experience of a road game and be in that environment and also getting some reps while they also probably redshirt.
Hey, Bruntz, where do you think we're at right now on the seemingly ever moving target of Dylan Raiola's health? There was the ankle injury that seemed to hamper him in the Indiana game quite a bit. Didn't look like it was affecting him in the Ohio State game. Then there was the shoulder stinger or whatever that was. Like, where do you think where do you think we're at going into this one against UCLA?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. The ankle seemed fine when he was doing the crazy legs routine against Ohio State, and He's taking some shots. He's a bigger quarterback. He's a tough kid. I think it's going to take quite a bit for him to not be in there. But the benefit, I guess, to this year though is you have the second bye week coming up. You have another week to rest up, and I think this is a week where Nebraska should be able to get a little bit done through the air. So hopefully, he's strong enough and well enough to take advantage of that. But I mean, he's going to keep trying to get in there. I was even a little bit kind of curious if he was going to come in there for that last drive against Ohio State, but he ran right in there and tried to make a go of it.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. That just seemed like I guess it was just a stinger. It seemed really awkward at the time when he got hurt. Like his arm was kind of dangling out there a little bit. I don't know the anatomy and how that all works, but it didn't look good at first.
That's your official diagnosis. It was dangling.
Well, it was just nothing going on there. Just kind of shaking it out a little bit. I suppose it could have just been a stinger, but he came right back in and threw it fine, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Michael Bruntz is with us from Husker 247. Kicking game. Is that how much confidence do you have? I mean, obviously it's more now compared to what it was going into last week, but is it just like a done deal now? Nebraska has a strong kicking game again?
I wouldn't say done deal. I would not go that far. I would say it was a positive trend with the way things went on Saturday. Certainly, a no-doubter 54-yarder, that's not bad. But, I mean, we've seen enough this year that, it's not just the swinging of the leg on the kicking. It's getting the snap back. It's, getting the snap that you can hold easily and getting the hold down properly. And so, I think they're probably confident coming out of that game, which is a good thing. I think this coaching staff has a lot of confidence in John Holt to go in there and nail field goals if they have to. But I guess in my mind, can the whole operation on field goals kind of function well? Because certainly the kicker gets a lot of attention on misses, but there's been plenty of blame to kind of go around with that crew for most of the season.
Yep, I'm with you. Michael Bruntz, Husker 247. All right, Bruntz, I'll let you go. Appreciate it as always, and we'll see you up there on Saturday.
Sounds good. See you then.
Michael Bruntz, Husker 247. Yeah, Nebraska made kicks. Ha!
Long
on
kicks.
Saturday. Long kicks. But the operation still wasn't great. The snaps were still not good.
John Hole overcame some things.
Somebody asked that question in our mailbag on the podcast this week, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what led to John Hole being good on Saturday. I don't know why it turned out that way, but I don't think the snaps were that much better. And then I was trying to think of the amount of kicks he got blocked compared to the amount of kicks he just biffed, or had bad snaps on. I don't know. Like I'd love to see that picture with a great operation because clearly he has a really good leg. Clearly Rhule was right about him having a good leg.
Yes.
He kept trying to tell us that. We're like, okay, whatever. You're just saying that.
He keeps
No, he
missing,
does.
though.
He made that 54-yarder is like, it was good from a long way. And it got Gus Johnson to do ha, which we really, really, really appreciate quite a bit. All right. Happer Beam guy writes in, poll question, was it dangling a little bit?
Yeah, I like that one.
Jeff writes in, hate to be that guy, but why has the media not asked one question about Dylon's health?
Okay, so when you asked that question to
You're
Bruntz,
like, oh, yeah.
I almost cracked the mic open and said, why hasn't
Crack
anyone
it, Josh.
asked that? But I don't want it to be like accusatory. I just want to know, like, okay, if we're kind of murmuring about it in the background, why is no one
think it's because
point blank asking?
I think it's because he came back in and looked fine on that last drive after he took the stinger. Because it clearly was that, right? Went to the injury tent, he threw it fine, coming back afterwards, obviously threw the pick. But it looked,
and the play calling was atrocious.
it looked comfortable enough for him.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a non-concern, a non-issue going into this one, but I don't know. It just curiosity sort of hit me during that time. I think it's a fair critique
Mhm.
of the media.
You could even word it like,
Are we worried about this?
Dylan seems to be getting a bunch of little things. Is that adding up? Is that weighing on him?
Oh, Josh, you should have asked the question.